Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range podcast with Warhog Tactical and Kelly Defense. I am Mark Kelly, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host and friend, Rick Hogg. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, it is going great. What a day it is just to be alive, be an American. Let me tell you this. Let me do a quick recap. First, I want to thank you, the viewer listener out there, for giving us your most precious commodity, your time to tune in. Guys, we appreciate the support. Do us a huge favor. Swing by warhog.com, kellydefense.com, on the range podcast. Sign up for the newsletters. Trust me, we will not inundate you with a bunch of stuff because I am behind as it is. You're looking at the email team right here. So, yeah, slightly behind. But sign up for the newsletters. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on. Since you're floating around all those pages, hey, swing by, check out the crew member. It's free to join. Like-minded people, international group. Man, we do a bi-monthly Zoom call, exclusive videos for them, pre and post-production stuff for the podcast. So just a great group of people. But something I want to touch on too that I'm super excited about. So just came back from the range. We are in the process of testing our new Warhog paper targets. So hopefully they should be coming out soon. They will be a dual-sided dot kind of series that we typically do at our courses, and then we'll have a humanoid style target on the back. So ran the dots, kind of shook the dust off of that, made sure it was exactly what we want. So it was nice getting a proof prior to. We're big about proofs. Why? Because I've been bitten by that before. But speaking of proofs, we've got a fantastic guest today. Actually, a repeat customer. Marcus Torgerson is going to talk about his writing a new book. As you guys know, both me and Mark are co-authors of the Firearms Training Notebook. And the beauty is we're going to have a chance just to have a good conversation about kind of doing some self-publishing. Marcus is a good friend of ours, so just kind of catch up BS. But Marcus, welcome to the show, brother. Congratulations on your book. How you been?
I've been great. I am stupid excited to be here because you guys are two of my absolute favorite people, and I'm honestly feel very blessed to be able to have the second opportunity to come to the show.
Well, we're glad to
Yes.
have you, buddy. We're
Yeah.
glad to have you. And it's been, Marcus was our very first guest on the Range podcast, and we thanked him for that. It was a great show. He was a lot of fun. Marcus is now an author, but he's a self-defense expert, does a lot of good stuff for a lot of people. And it doesn't surprise us at all, does it, Rick, that he's going to do something like this to help other people, not just young men, young women, moms, dads. It's just a great idea. The name of his new book is Be a Man, WTF, what the fire truck does that mean? And we got a copy of it here. It's live on Amazon. The link is going to be in the description. Marcus, thanks again for being here. But what was your inspiration, or what was the reason that you initiated this endeavor and put it out?
Well, it's twofold, and I'm going to save the best reason for last. So initially, there's a guy all over the internet that would be, I think he's from Boston. He'd do these little clips like, "Be a man, eat your cereal with nails," or "Be a man," and just all these machismo, macho things that were there, and it was cute. I mean, I'd get them sent to me all the time. However, when I would get them, there'd be a feeling inside me. I didn't like it. I didn't like the machismo thing. I was dealing with it all the time. Everybody macho. And then not long after, I was in the shower. This is more information you need to know, but I was in the shower, and I was led to the title. And as you guys both know, my faith is massive, so I was led to, and the title came. Originally, the title was going to be a Man, what the Fig Newton does that mean? And then I started worrying about getting sued by Fig Newton people. So, and then I was at an event, and this believer came up and said something, I don't know, something, and he said fire truck. And I went, fire truck? He goes, yeah, well, man, that's the way, instead of saying the F word. And I was like, oh, there goes, get rid of the Fig Newton, and in comes the fire truck. Mm-hmm. And from that time that I in the shower for almost a year, or easily 6-8 months, the book was created in the shower. I'm not exaggerating. I'd get a chapter or something, and then I'd have my phone, talking to my phone. I might be walking, chapter come in. It was the most incredible experience that I cannot explain. It was just it has been a beautiful, beautiful opportunity experience for me. One, to get closer to my faith, and two, to there's a lot of healing that happened as a result of writing this book.
Mhm.
You know, like a lot of healing, stuff that I didn't think, I thought that I'd come to terms with, and obviously didn't. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a very cool, it's been a year, like literally a year ago was when I started having that shower. I've had more showers since then. And then here we are, published March 9th, the 20th anniversary of my mom's passing, which was by design. It was done for a reason.
Well, congratulations, on that, and what a tribute to your mom, to kind of hold off on that date. So, absolutely huge. So let me ask you this, Marcus, and I kind of want to have the conversation between the authors, right? We know our trials and tribulations trying to get this thing done. Ours is what they dub, kind of a what's it short? What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh,
Mark?
low content.
Oh, low content book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not a whole bunch of stuff in there, but we got charts and pictures and QR codes.
Mm-hmm.
When you were kind of writing stuff down, did you lay stuff out pen to paper first, like kind of do an outline? Did you just kind of throw things together? How was your process to kind of build your book?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because my way of doing it is definitely not the way normal people would do it. I literally took my phone and hit record for notes. And every time something would come in, I would either be on a chapter or I'd get a new chapter. By the time several months happened, I just had dozens and dozens and dozens of voice notes that I had to go back and try to read what was in English, because voice notes don't exactly, they don't understand my slang very well. So I had to look back and what did I mean by when I said that? So when I gave it to finally the person who edited my book, she was seriously sent from God, because even she was like, I have no idea what, like, there's no rhyme or reason. No, chapter 1, chapter 2, this is the beginning, this is the end. I just had a bunch of crap that came out of me that made no sense, and she was able to just fine tune it a little bit to where it made a little more sense and flowed a little bit easier, because you guys have been on the phone with me. You know, I'm all over the place. Well, try being in the shower talking while water's dropping. I'm trying not to electrocute myself.
I think that's kind of the beauty of it, though. I really do, because it's not a, step 1 through 10 how-to book. It's thoughts, and you can really feel that as you're reading it. It's thoughts, and sometimes things sound a little more thought out than others, but isn't that the way we all think? And I think it's going to resonate well. And the thing about the healing, buddy, I'm going to tell you right now, when you talked about that initially, even in the foreword, I was emotional, because not necessarily because I broke out into tears and I said, oh my gosh, what a terrible thing that must've been. But I totally get it. It resonates. And I think that's what's that you're so good at, when you tell stories like that and tell your experience. And was that intentional by any chance? Or did you start reading this and did she read that and say, oh my gosh, I think we got something here?
The irony that a woman edited a Man Be a Man book is not lost on me. I think it's beautiful. And I love the way the Lord did that, because she didn't actually fine tune any of my stuff. She just basically made sure that it read commas, semicolons, stuff like that. Everything that came out of me was obviously stuff that needed to come out for me. And there's a ripple effect from that tsunami of vomiting that's going to impact other people, because there's no difference between Mark, Rick, and Marcus, except for our individual experiences. But there's commonality between the three of us, or billions of people. We all have something that's commonality. And usually it's got to do with loss or pain, trauma, whatever verbiage you want to use. And the more we can agree on not comparing, right? I don't want comparison. Comparison's a thief of joy. But the commonality that the three of us or whomever I'm speaking to, that I can have compassion and empathy for what you've gone through or for what I've gone through. And we can find ways together to assist each other to heal, right? The healing is the most important part. To not believe the lies of the past and instead embrace today's truths.
Wow. Powerful statement. I mean, without a doubt, that's huge. I mean, that's one of those that I'm going to let the viewers, listeners just resonate on that for a minute, because I don't know that truer words have been said, cleaner words have been said. And you hit the nail on the head, Marcus, right? We all have that commonality, whatever word you want to plug in there. And then it's how do we deal with it? How do we heal from it? If we ever do, I still, I don't know. I use Duke as a prime example. I don't know that I'll ever recover from losing Duke. Right. I've got better days than I do. Some days are better than others.
Yeah.
But everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
And if I had never lost Duke in the way I lost him, all the trials and tribulations we kind of went through, the In Honor of Duke would have never popped up.
Nope.
And I don't know if, for you, if you even gave it the thought of writing the book, was maybe the healing was a byproduct thereof, or what kind of the driving factor, for getting that done. But I do have to say, when the Bright Idea Fairy pokes its head, and Mark will tell you, Mark was the one that, hey man, what do you think about taking our notebooks and making like a notebook?
Right.
Genius. What versus me telling a dude, hey man, you should have a notebook. Hey man, this is a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
The QR codes, it was funny because we had Eddie Gallagher on the show.
Yeah.
And Eddie had made the mention, he put QR codes in his book.
Yep.
And I'm like, genius.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how God puts people in your path to sit there and they're little tidbits. And some people, what's a QR code, right?
Yeah.
Nothing. Dude, it's a huge part for us. It's like, yeah, you want to know how to work this thing, work a timer, do drills, whatever. But it's just great. And you bring up a great point. I'm not sure how you bring the phone in the shower. I've yet to try that one. But I probably have more ideas lost in that shower because the Bright Idea Fairy pokes his head. And by the time I get out, I'm like, man, I had something good. It's like,
yeah.
But I'm not gutsy enough to bring my phone in there.
Well, okay. I put my head out of the shower and I popped it, but it still got wet, and it wasn't bright, but it worked.
Yeah.
When you mentioned healing, I think it's important that the people who are listening, because they do know the two of you very well, that he may not remember this at all. I don't know the year. I don't know the year, but it was before my divorce. So I'd say whenever it was after I saw you in Texas. So whenever that was. And Rick had a phone call with me, right? And he brought up the term forgiveness about an event that when I spoke to him about, I hadn't told anybody about the event. And since then, I've been able to go, and when I have men's groups conversations, I'm able to tell that story. One, I need to tell that story because it helps in the healing. But the amazing thing, this is where my point to this is, you never know when you are going to say something that is going to have an impact on someone that will have a resonation, I don't even know if that's a real word, but resonate later on. And that conversation with Rick for forgiveness, he was able to plant a seed that I wasn't fully ready to embrace or understand. And over the years, the seed was watered and planted many times from a variety of different people, but the initial seed had to be planted, which Rick did. And I've spoken to many people about this and how incredible that was, because I was not a believer in Jesus at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So here's this guy who I don't really know. We've met a couple of times, and but he's been very giving and very understanding. And he drops this nugget on me that completely started me on a different path. Now, I say that to say this. When I was, like I told you guys, I did it for my mom's 20th anniversary. My mother and I weren't close. This book, I thought it was writing a book about be a man, and I did. However, there was stuff that came up about my mom that I had never known. If you read the back of the book, it tells I'm a botched abortion. My mom didn't want me. And what I was led, my mind was opened up to, was looking at things from her perspective as a young mother, having a child she didn't want, and how her words were one thing, but her actions were different, right? I hate you. I think you're stupid. Here's your food and here's your clothes. I wish you were never born. I hate you, beat you. Here's Kung Fu lessons, right? So the healing that by the time this book was finished, I had such a huge revelation and relief and forgiveness towards my mother, which I could not do unless I started to forgive myself,
mm-hmm.
which was what part of the conversation that Rick started many years ago. So if anybody's listening and they're holding on to frustrations or anger or a lack of forgiveness to someone, just start trying to forgive yourself on a few things and watch what happens, because when you're able to forgive yourself a little bit more, you're able to forgive others as well. Anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, another thing about forgiveness too is a big point in your book too is talking about you can't move forward if you're hanging on to something you did that you are ashamed of or that was bad in the past. You just can't. It doesn't make you who you are. You are you. You're not what you did in the past. Everybody does messed up stuff. Even if you did something really messed up, that's still not deep inside of you who you are. And you have to forgive yourself and to be able to move past that. Apologizing and all that other stuff. But there does come a time when you've wronged somebody and you've apologized and you're sincere about it, that now it's their problem. You've apologized and you've bettered yourself from it. You haven't repeated it, and you move forward. So once you got this done and you're like, hey, and this young lady helped you out. What's her name? So we don't.
Kate. Her name is Kate.
Very great. So Kate, I know she was in the forward and the thank you and stuff. When did you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this something and I'm going to put it out? And then we know why you chose what date, but when was that moment and what was that like? Like, I'm going to go ahead and do this, put myself out there.
As soon as, so the book was in limbo for a little bit. And this is why the Lord is amazing. Like, I'm being serious. Like, I had 90%, maybe 75% of the book done. All of a sudden I get an email from some other person named Kate. Never met her. Email. Hi, my name's Kate, and I happen to do some ghostwriting and some editing and publishing if you're interested. I get on the phone with her. I'm all lit up like a spider monkey on Mountain Dew. By the time I talked to her and we talked a little bit more and we had a couple of calls, by that time I had 75%. I finished the book. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. I'm good to go. Now, it didn't end up working out because she wasn't supposed to be the one to edit the book. But she sure was used to instigate a fire in me to sit there and finish that bad boy. As soon as I finished it, another guy came in and he tried to help it. When you're juggling 400 different things, it's difficult to focus on something. And for me, it's the most important thing in the world, right? My book's the most important thing for me. Doesn't mean it's important for anybody else. He tried, it didn't work. And then Kate came in out of nowhere. So I am not exaggerating. From March of last year, I basically was like done and ready to go. And she worked on it all the way through. So it was literally a year from that's it. I'm doing this. God was like, okay, I'm going to give you this. This is the person to go to. And it took all this time for, you guys know what it's like. All sorts of things happening and, life, right? But from March of last year, and I knew it was going to get published. I knew it was.
Yeah.
Because you don't get all these thoughts coming out. You don't sit there and break the lies of the past of Marcus, you're an idiot. My mom used to call me a dummkopf, which is German for stupid head. All the lies of you're never going to do anything. This book, it had to get done because I was proving that all that stuff was a lie. It's all a lie. And that's really the only thing I care about this book, is that when people look at it, they're like, well, if Marcus can do it, anybody can do it. Yes, if Marcus can do it, where he can beat the lies of the past, then you can go and do whatever it is that you were lied to and said that you can't do it. That's all I care. I care that that somebody gets it and says, okay, I'm not what I was in the past. Whatever those lies were, I'm not that person. And who I am now, I get the opportunity to be this version that I was born by the Lord to be. Right.
And Marcus, that's huge, man. That's huge. So just your motivation in itself to sit there and go, you're not defined by your past, which too many people are. I mean, you can't ride on yesterday's laurels, yesterday's abuse, yesterday's trauma, yesterday's whatever, and doing the whole 1% better every day. What are you doing today to make yourself better, to heal, to whatever your journey is? I mean, that's impressive. And I'm going to tell you another thing, my friend, just from me to you seem like the weight of the world is off your shoulders. You seem very bubbly, very upbeat, very, not that you weren't before, right? But you could tell there was something going on. So that in itself, just to watch you kind of solidify that healing process and just what you're saying. And brother, I can't wait for people to pick this bad boy up, get into it. But before we dive in there, we gotta hit this. And Mark knows where I'm going. We got to talk about the Amazon journey. Now, Amazon, the thing I like, right, is it allows people like us to have the ability to publish a book.
100%.
Now, granted, Amazon doesn't give us all the functionality. So when we run the spiral bound version, we've got another printer that we have to go through, right? Because they don't offer that as an option. The initial process to get started up with Amazon, I don't know if you thought of going somewhere else, looking at a publisher, all this other stuff. For us, low content volume, that wasn't going to make any sense.
Right.
So if I recollect correct, Mark, and if I'm saying something incorrect, please chime in, but it was relatively easy to get the initial door open to Amazon. I know for a fact we had some struggles trying to figure out their print texting stuff like that. Then you got to figure out your price point because, of course, Bezos isn't a billionaire because he gives things away.
Right.
He's sucking up about 50% of that price. So don't think that Marcus and Mark and Rick are gazillionaires off of our sales. Bezos do it for doing nothing. He's sucking that up. So that was a decision there. Having to go through the copyright process, which was huge for us, and we'll deep dive into that here in a minute. But I mean, overall, Mark, would you say that the process wasn't terrible for us? We learned some things.
It's just a learning curve that, neither one of us had ever gone down that road of publishing anything. It's just something that you didn't know. There's certain formats that they do like. There's certain formats that absolutely have to be in there. And I'm sure, Marcus, you probably went through that same, back and forth a little bit about the actual format and what text, how it was going to look and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, so my team is a woman named Kate, and then I had a woman named Brooke and her husband, John Thomas, which, someday we'll get into it all is relevant to people who helped me get baptized. And I mean, there's just a whole bunch of godly things going on, but she had already written a book. And so she was like, you know what? No problem. I'll help you out with it. all that. Now, keep in mind, she's 9 months pregnant. She's got a pregnant baby brain. And that's her words, not mine. But she was like,
That's right.
so we, like, even the cover, like John Thomas did the cover, and there's something magical about the cover, which I'll tell you guys about it in a moment. Please remind me, because I'll just forget about it, but it's magical. But when we first did the setting everything up, she really kind of took it by the reins. She goes, okay, here we go. We went by 8x5 or whatever decision we made, and we got this all ready. Well, when we got that first version, the font was like, you think, oh, small font. I am not exaggerating. I used a magnifying glass and I still had a hard time reading this book. It was ridiculous. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So when you're future publishing people, two things which I didn't do. I'd let the time between when March 9th, I was doing it on my mom's anniversary, and that's all there's to it. So leading up to March 9th, like one day before is when we decided to publish. Well, that's not smart, future publishers. Let me tell you, you want to have a good amount of time to order a copy, to see it, to make sure that you don't have font the size of ants. If you saw Zoolander, that's where I got the idea of, what is this, a book for ants? Or copyright page that isn't on there, or numbers on a page, which, right? So if you're listening to this, you're like, I want to publish. First of all, KDP, the Kindle Direct Publications, whatever, that's Amazon's thing. They make it stupid easy. I mean, you got to, there's certain things like finding what groups you want to be put into and all that kind of stuff, but it's not hard. The difficult part is making sure that the word verbiage lines up and that the everything is in line. And the only way to do that is to get a copy sent to you, an author's copy or whatever, to proof, and then you're off to the races. So if you're going to do it, start everything about a month out, right? Start a month out to start getting everything going, and then you can do that. But in general, this is the only time in the history of mankind has it ever been so easy to go and create something and then just let it go. You got Etsy, you got Amazon, you got all these. The only excuse you're not doing it is fear.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody who's listening to this understands that there's that old saying about the greatest book that has ever been written next to the Bible, it'll change the entire world, is in somebody's desk drawer.
Yep. 100%.
Never published. And quite honestly, to anybody who's listening, there's a negative insurgency. There's a certain enemy that loves to sit there and whisper in your ear, yeah, don't do it. Who's going to buy the book? Ain't nobody going to buy the book. You look like a fool. Now, where I have an advantage over other people in that aspect is this was given to me by God. And from the moment I dropped it, I didn't care if one sold or 1 billion. Doesn't matter to me, because it's not up to me whatsoever. It's up to God. I obeyed. I did what you wanted. It's on you. You want to make 1 billion copies? Cool. Personally, my learning point is on analytics. I should never be around anywhere that I'm allowed analytics. I'm being dead serious. The stupidest part I ever did was to find out where my bookshelf was and to see how many were sold and all that.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good for Marcus.
No.
Oh,
well,
not good.
but on that, Marcus, you have to do this. Okay. You have to periodically go back to Amazon.
Yes.
You have to do some looking, because Mark, it was probably what, 2 or 3 weeks when we produced the book.
Yep.
And we had a rip-off version out there.
Now,
And
I can't remember how you guys ended up kiboshing that.
With our copyright paperwork.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Copy that. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So the thing people need to understand with Amazon, you can publish it. You got to go make sure you get your stuff copyrighted.
Yeah.
But it was shortly thereafter that there was another. It had a similar cover, didn't have our picture, right?
Right.
Similar kind of bullseye style crosshairs on there. The Firearms Training Notebook. Whoa, what's up with this? Right. So Amazon, that beast don't care.
No.
And
Show
then
me the money.
Yeah, Mark had to go, and we never bought a copy. I don't even know what was in it, right? But then Mark had to go send Amazon the paperwork, and they eventually pulled it. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to go back there occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
take some looks. You got to sit there like this whole Amazon beast. You have to ask your, people that buy, hey man, leave me that rating and review.
Oh,
It's all that garbage, the stars, and that makes
oh,
that because it's a big tech company, right? That's going to make
yeah.
that big tech algorithm. Oh, Marcus has this amount of sales and this many reviews and this many comments that to slide you up where they'll suggest or do this or
Mm-hmm.
it's brutal. But
Mm.
there's no couth at the Amazon level. You're
No,
telling me that with all your data that you got and processing well, these guys wrote a firearms training notebook.
right?
This other guy comes out with the firearms training notebook. You don't do anything to do a litmus test?
No, no,
And
no.
you know, um, but it was funny. We at least did the author's proof, and I don't think we found anything in ours, Mark, if I
Except for the
remember.
numbers.
Yeah, we missed
The,
that.
the numbers happen. So the numbers happen down the road. Here,
Because my copy doesn't have numbers.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you got the first gen. Yeah.
I listen. I am old school. I'm part of the cool kids group. Okay.
We
Oh,
didn't have.
man.
Well, the page numbers. Let me back up. So the page numbers didn't come out till I think we were on the range one day. Hey man, turn to page whatever. Or somebody asked, "Hey, what page is that on?" And here's me and Mark going,
Oh shoot!
"Hmm."
Say we don't have. I mean, it's been out for
Right.
months at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to go back and fix that, right?
Oh man.
But here's the crazy part. We wrote the book. The first day I go out there, first thing you do is shoot the Warhawk self eval.
Yep.
And the numbers go across by our design.
Mm-hmm.
How did I record them? Going down. Like I jacked up my own copy of the book to start from Jump Street. I'm like, hey, dope, you wrote the damn
Oh,
thing. You can't even fill it out right,
yeah.
So we make sure we reiterate to the students, hey, it goes across. Just how do
Yeah.
I know this? I messed it up,
Yeah.
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 But it's I want to circle back to something you said, Marcus, because this is key, and I know Mark says it all the time. Too many times people put that doubt in their own head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Here's the
Yep.
bottom line. Who cares? Do you think I give two snoots what anyone thinks about my book? Oh, that thing's stupid. That thing's a waste.
Right.
Somebody likes it. Somebody's buying it. I
Yep.
don't care.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not for you, it's not for you. Don't buy it. Who cares? Right?
Yeah.
But why even say anything negative? Right? So people got to take the whole self-doubt out of your head.
Yeah.
Hey man, if you want to write a book, write a book. If you sell one, you sell 300, 3,000, 3 million, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Because Mark hit this one on the head, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Marcus, and let you articulate a little bit. Dude, as soon as that thing comes out and your name's on it, you know what? You are now an author.
That's right.
Bing, 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 bing.
How about them apples?
Yeah.
So, author Marcus, anything to add on that one?
Well, I will add something to this because I'll tell you one thing, and especially for those that are on the fence, right? They're listening and they're like, I have something. It's a great segue to remembering that approval addiction is a big thing, and most people will not admit that they have approval addiction. Well, you do the second you post something on social media and you get a dopamine fix from how many people double hearted or finger or thumb, I should say, or share it or whatever, you're spiked because you're getting approval from people. And I did a good job, because when you get nothing, you're bummed out. So the minute that you're getting approval from a second party, that's a challenge. Now I get my approval from God, so I'm okay with it. But let's say there's people here who are not believers. So you need to believe in yourself. You need to be like, I'm doing this. Win, lose, or draw, I'm doing this. Because as Rick said earlier, there's always going to be someone who wants to be a poopy party. Oh, I want to sit there and say something stupid. Okay, so be it. I mean, it's not kosher anymore to punch people in the face. So I'm verbally just going to tell you, yeah, go fornicate elsewhere. Okay, let's go do whatever you need to do, because it doesn't matter. If somebody comes up to you right now, to whoever's watching this, and they literally vomit on you, like, bleh, you're going to be angry, but the very first thing you're going to be is like, what in the fire truck? I'm going to use the, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? So what's the difference between that and if somebody's online saying all those things? What's wrong with you? You have issues. And then done. See you later. Bye.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of my lifetime, like 50 years of my life, seeds of doubt from birth to here, of believing that I shouldn't do this, or I'm never good enough, or whatever the lies are, right? And I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. That is horse manure. It's a lie. It's a freaking lie. Don't believe it. Now, it's easy for me to say that, and Rick can sit there and come back with it, and Mark can come up and be like, yeah, guys, don't believe it. But when you're conditioned for 30, 40, 50, 60 years into believing something you were told, what's that? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Lies. I'll take the broken bones. I can heal from those.
Yeah.
But names or verbiage, that leaves a. And we're all parents. We've all said something stupid to a spouse that we'd love to take back. We've all said something stupid to somebody that we'd like to take back. That's hurtful because we were trying to be hurtful.
You know, those type of things too, Marcus, those points that you're making just now, and Rick, both huge truths that everybody should hear. And we need to repeat them, especially to the young folks. We need to repeat them. I think there's a lot of things in your book, and I'm going to reference the copy we have here. It's not so much some of the meat of it, but it's the things that you add in there that reminds people of those tried and true things that you have to try to ascend to do. And I'm just going to, read a little bit here. This is page 19. He's got page numbers. We weren't so bright, but
fancy guy.
I still don't know what is page 19, because I don't really remember.
To be a good man, you need to be open, transparent, loving, nurturing, strong, mentally, emotionally strong. All of these, and this is the part I'm talking about, all of these take time and effort. That to me are the things about this book that really resonate, because Rick and I say it all the time. It's not these big sweeping things. It's 1% every single day. So if you could comment on that, because you say it multiple times in this book, you don't say none of this is easy. It takes time and effort.
So I'm going to give you an analogy that will fit with you guys 100%, because it works with having already gone through a course with Rick. I have not yet with Mark, but I've seen you teach. So you guys are going to be in agreement, I'm sure of it. But when you have a newborn, let's say 3 or 4 months, they're starting to, move and shake, and they finally get to the part of walking, and they take a step and they fall down. Do you say, "You little loser, get up. I said walk. You're supposed to be walking by now"? Do either of you?
No.
Can you imagine any mother or father yelling at their child for not being able to take more than one step at a time? No. So when I put things in the context, every person will be like, well, of course, Marcus, it's not the same. Bullshit. It is. Forgive me. Yeah. It is the same. Because as you're walking and trying to relearn and be renewed in how to function as a human being, as a man or a woman in this world, and walk and with new eyes and a new heart to try to be this version of you that you were supposed to be, not the version you growing up to, it's going to need compassion and grace and understanding. And it's going to be a time-tested fall down, get up, fall down, get up. It's been said so much, it's now falling on deaf ears. They're forgetting that human beings only learn through failure. We do not ever, history has shown, ever learn from a success. Ever. Ever. That's my feedback. I fall down, I got to get back up, learn what I did wrong. And then we get into the 1% better every day.
Especially when those negative things are coming from yourself. that is as huge as this house sitting on top of your shoulders.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
When
that
you tell
comes
yourself,
from somewhere though, that none of us are
absolutely,
born, beating ourselves up. It is instilled from the out in. And again, it's easy to blame your mom and dad and your dog and your horse and your
right.
Uncle Phil. Okay. At some point in time, you need to own the fact that, hey, I wish to have a different outcome from what my old outcome was. And if I knew, and again, if I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't be doing it. But I can only know now what I know now because of what I knew then. And I keep carrying the same crap that literally, I take a dump and I put it in my hand from 1979 and I bring it into 2005, carrying it in my hand. Who's going to do that? Nobody. We flush the toilet for a reason because it's gone, not to be brought back. Bit gross, but you get my point.
Marcus, there's one thing I'm going to change here from your toilet analogy. There's a key word that you put in there. Effort.
Effort, yeah.
And that to me is probably one of those huge words that everyone's looking for, the give me the
Easy.
handout, the easy button.
Mm-hmm.
You made the mention of the social media dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fix. Just have Meta deactivate your account and your dopamine for that thing. Trust me,
That's right.
you won't even care about it, right? You're like,
yeah,
That's right.
because you know what? I'm expecting. I put up a post. I'm expecting to get nothing. I'm looking for goose eggs. If I get one little heart, right? And I'm the guy that I don't hide like the new thing. You can hide your likes, dude. You got one like, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yep.
Meta. Appreciate your support, but
yeah.
But the key thing is, I want to get back to this effort.
Yep.
And that's the key part that, man, you've got to put the work in, whatever that work is, whether it's healing yourself, making yourself stronger, getting a better marriage, better relationship with your kids, inspiring your kids. It's all work, effort, whatever word you want to plug in there.
Yes.
And thank you for putting that in there, because that's huge. Because people have to understand the old analogy I like to say, nobody rides for free.
No.
Right.
No.
You gotta put the work in.
Yes.
So
man,
I
mean, you put in the work to becoming the person that you were now, right? Whether you like it or not, you did put in effort to being negatively thinking or any of that. Like you put in effort to feeding that. So now take that same amount of energy, and it's only going to be harder because it's new. When you try to have a more uplifting, gratitude-filling mentality, it is challenging because your vocabulary, you're having to learn a new language. Your vocabulary is rooted in fear, anxiety, anger, whatever. They're all rooted in fear. So to sit there and not be rooted in fear, but rooted in love, which is, I talk about love in that book. Love is the most important thing for me about any of this. I want to break all that crap about the fact that men are whatever, but it rooted in love. The effort comes from trusting that I'm gonna just take this step forward. That's why the 1% is a big. It's ironic to me that 1% is so important, yet it seems like it's not enough, because we're conditioned to 110% or nothing. 1% is massive when you scale it over a year. Oh,
Yeah.
gargantuan, right?
Oh, it's huge, because it's not necessarily maximum effort. It's continuous effort. Continuous effort is that's the key.
Yeah.
It's being consistent with all of the things you're doing. We talk about things all the time, weight loss, getting better at something. Rick always says it all the time, 5 minutes a day, 3 times a week, 15 minutes a week, and look at the dividends that's going to pay off.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Ironically, there's a part in there about fitness, and I call them 10, 10, and 10, right? 10 push-ups, 10 squats, and then 10 of some abdominal exercise. It should be the easiest, because all of those are scalable, right? To your physical,
absolutely.
Right? You would think that would be the most embraced thing and people could do it. People will last a week, and because it's not fast enough for them, they stop. And that's Guys, you just need to go and baby steps is that's my magic word, right? Baby steps forward, just baby steps.
But Marcus, is it that? Are we so result driven that we quit that easily? Or here's my other question. Does it require that constant effort?
Well, it obviously it is the consistency of the effort, but when you're not, I don't want to, however, you have been conditioned that if you're not doing something grandiose, then you're not doing anything. And the continuous effort is I'm doing what I need to do, which is relative to me. My 1% is not Rick or Mark's 1%. It's 1% to me.
Yeah.
And this is why I make such a big deal about comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. It steals my joy of I'm doing better, consistently making that 1% effort because I'm comparing to what Mark's doing. And that's not only is ridiculous, but it's unfair to me and to anybody else that I'm around. Continuous effort really is doing the best that you can. Now, I understand when you're trying to have a metric and you want to make sure that you're going the right direction. I'm going to soften it a little bit just in this way. If you are making a consistent effort that on today's date, today, I could do half of what I did yesterday, but I still did that half, and that would be considered a down day. And I take that down day and I still keep moving forward. And then the next day I do better than my down day, but not as good as my great day. And all of a sudden, a couple of days later, my great day ends up coming back because I didn't stop. I was just moving in a forward motion. The little train that could, man. I swear that is the song that plays in my head on a regular basis. Just a little train that could. I know it can. I know it can. I know it can. I know it can. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think sometimes people they don't see the result because they're not. When you start a project, you don't start it because you're necessarily just want to give effort towards something. You're kind of doing it because you know what the result's going to be.
Right.
And they get impatient about that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but it's always good to have people that are like-minded, like the crew members that watch us and having friends like you. It makes a big difference because, how many times have Rick and I bounced something off that someone that we may have said it to, you don't want to do that. Why do you want to waste your time on that? And then except Rick goes, yep, sounds good to me. Let's launch it.
Yes.
That's the difference. It's all mindset. And you do a lot of stuff with the mindset too. When you talk about reframe.
Yeah.
That's a big piece too. And talk about that a little bit, because we talked about the negative, positive, comments to ourselves. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, really, what is reframing? That is taking something how it was and reviewing it with, let's say, a new set of eyes. Whatever, Marcus, I was crummy at shooting. Okay. And I'm always going to be crummy at shooting because I always shoot really, really bad. I just always shoot. I'm always shooting bad. Okay. How about, Marcus, you're not a bad shooter. You just need to know a few things that might correct or will correct what you're doing incorrectly so that you can make habits and patterns and behaviors that will give you a better, more successful outcome of that thing. Now, I use shooting because it's easy, but it can be cooking, it can be art, it can be anything. I'm not that crummy person, useless, useful as tits on a bull, right? I'm not that. I'm me, and I wish to do this thing, right? Let's use a podcast, okay? I have no idea how to do a podcast. I've been on a bunch of them, no idea. Okay, so what do I got to do first? Well, first I'm going to go and I'm going to reach out and ask a question. So I'm going to make myself vulnerable. And by making myself vulnerable, I'm changing the lie in my head about, well, you don't ask for help because if you ask for help, you look like a weakling. So as long as we can reframe what we were to actually what we are and be honest, what I am right now is a guy with questions. I'm a guy that doesn't have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So to whom do I go to get the answers? Now we're in a generation where you can ask Google anything and get an answer, right? Like this is the time there's no excuse for not being able to do something except one, laziness, obviously. But a lot of times our laziness is rooted in fear because we're afraid that what if I do try it and I actually am the POS that somebody told me I was. And that's where our community has to make a difference because we need support, right?
Yeah.
We need support.
Yeah, I agree with you, Marcus, but I would say this. I'm going to throw the one thing out there. Yeah, you can ask Google some arbitrary questions.
Right.
But the one thing that Google doesn't have is that experience.
Without a
So
doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah.
that's where you need your crew, for lack of better terms, those close knit that, hey man, I'm going to bounce some stuff off of people.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
people might call
Agreed.
them mentors. If you're in the business space, hey, who are your mentors?
Right.
And I think what I see a lot of is really when you take a step back and you look at people's kind of inner and outer circles. Well, who do you really got in there?
Right.
You know, who's in that inner circle that when I sit there and pick up the phone at 3 a.m. going, hey, get over here with the shovel. They're there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people fail is they don't have that crew to bounce some stuff off. I mean, Mark's like, he's the idea fairy over there. Hey man, what do you think about doing a podcast? Sounds great. Let's do it. Right. And then all that does is just open up Pandora's box. And now we start navigating it, you know? You look at, and you're proof. You were on episode number 9 of a 500 plus podcast still running.
Right.
What do we know back then that we changed? Now we got fancy mics and gee whiz, recorders and video and, trying to step up the game some.
Right.
But you're always continuing to try to master whatever craft it is. And Google's okay. But at the end of the day, nothing beats that actual person that has done that. Hey, that has written the book, that's done the podcast, that's run the business, that you go confide in, or just somebody that's going to give you a different perspective. And
well, and I want to, I want to go along with that. And I just need to, because there's going to be people listening that the first thing they're going to say is, I don't have anybody. Now, there's something in that if you don't have any friends, or if you don't have a group or a person, let's be honest, a person, then yes, it's something that you will want to look into. You'll want to go and open up your ability to receive people as in a friendship sort of way and build those relationships. When I mention something like Google, I use that just as don't use I can't as an excuse. There's just no, in our current era, as much as I dislike many things about our Skynet situation we got going on in the world, I'm looking at it with, wow, this is the most incredible time in our history of mankind because of what we have access to and what we can do. We have lost a huge amount of resonating with fellow human beings. Definitely the last 4 or 5 years have shown how badly we are lacking in human connection. I would say this, that if whatever the thing is, there is I guarantee you, there's some crusty old bastard old man who wants to shed some information on, like, building, a lot of times with building and things like that. There, we have a huge community of elders that are
100%
aching to do it. And if you're going to use the internet for anything, use the internet to find someone who, again, mentor or chaperone or whatever verbiage you want to use. But there's somebody with the experience of what you want. You just need to be open and trusting and have faith that I'm going to give it a shot so I can learn something. And off topic a bit, when you go to reach out for those older guys, you're breathing life into them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our elderly have no purpose. And
Yes.
that's why they're dropping like flies, because they have no purpose. They've been discarded. So I'm really speaking mostly to the 20, 30 year olds who are listening, like, well, I'm not like you guys. I don't have friends. Man, find some crotchety old guy that sits there and spits when he talks and has Marlboros in his hands or in his pocket, and ask him how to do that thing. And you'd be surprised at how many times they'd be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
So what's up next? What else can we see from Marcus Torgerson, and what are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm almost going to be going to Oklahoma to a friend's place that Rick is familiar with. I've got 4 days of teaching there and doing some speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the idea of calling it preaching, because it just don't feel right. But I'm going to be talking to the congregation
Oh, that's
and doing some
fantastic.
speaking and teaching.
It's called mentoring.
Mentoring.
Because Mike called me. I'll see you out there.
Oh,
right?
yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Are you?
I am.
Okay.
Because it's important, right?
Yeah.
And again, odd how things work. And I'm going to articulate on this for a minute. The demographics he's looking at is those young men
Mm-hmm.
who are kind of in a rough spot.
Mm.
You know, maybe might not have the best parents, best location, best opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm going there for this. I'm going there to hopefully sprinkle a little bit of hope, a little bit of light in these guys to go,
Amen.
hey man, there's more than what you see right here.
Mm.
And here's some opportunities to expand your horizons.
Yeah.
And don't use the, well, I'm stuck here. No, you're not.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Yep.
You can change. That's why I'm going.
Okay.
Right. When me and Mike were having the conversation, knowing the demographics he has there, laying out some of the issues, dramas, and I don't know all the young men that'll be there, but if you are a young man or if you're an American in a crappy situation, there's ways you can adjust your position.
Oh, yeah.
And don't use the excuse of you just have to sit there and improve that position. And that's going to be, when Mike was telling me that, I was like, yeah. And then of course he mentioned you're going to be there. Yeah, sure.
No brainer. Yeah.
So, but
That's awesome.
If you're listening or watching this podcast, and if you say to yourself, my life sucks, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
What sucks about it? And what am I going to do to change it?
Yeah.
Right. Don't get caught in that rut. Don't believe these lies that these people are telling you that, hey, you're worthless, you're this, you're that. No, you're not.
Yeah. No.
Because you know who the best person in the room is, or the best person on this podcast? Right? It's this guy. Sorry, Marcus, I got you beat. Mark's gonna say he's got us all beat. But that self-confidence, man.
Yeah.
Even if you're in the dumper, that self-confidence, the ability to sit there and go, I don't care who's in the room.
Yeah.
A number one right here.
Yep. Yep.
So
yeah. Amen to that.
Well, buddy.
Yeah.
We are going to push this book. It's definitely an easy read. It's a good read, and it's just great. We're so proud of you. We are so glad that you came on, and we hope you sell a gazillion of these things, brother, because you deserve it, and everybody who needs it deserves to get it. So I'm super, super proud of you.
Thank you.
Where can they find you? I'm like I said, I'm going to put in the show notes. I'm going to put the link to the book on Amazon. Where can they find you otherwise?
My website, marcustorgerson.com. And if for some reason they're like, oh, I don't know about the Amazon links, my web guy, I just found out without telling me, put the book on the website. So if you can click it. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
And socials, but I've got a newsletter as well.
Wow.
Heck yeah. Tell us more. Tell us more about this newsletter you speak of there, Marcus.
it is the fastest reading newsletter possible. You can go through the entire newsletter. I timed it with a slow reader, and it takes about 30 seconds. It is seriously a couple of things and done, right?
Okay.
And I stole that from you guys because when I saw all the analytics that you were having troubles with, and how much I have a disdain for our social media, the newsletter just seemed like a no-brainer, just to have a sense of community, right? And you know, it's a little slower in feedback, but it's something that people can get access to that nobody can take away,
Right.
right? Which obviously you guys know all about.
You control it.
Yeah. So between the newsletter, social media, the website, which is
yeah, we'll put all that in the show notes. Great to have you here, buddy. Stand by, and we're going to close this out, and then we'll reconnect with you. So stand by with us, Marcus. Thanks again for being here, pal.
Thanks, boys. I love you guys.
Man. Love you too, buddy. Man,
what a great show, buddy. Dude, what a fantastic show. So proud of that. And that book, it's a page turner. It's really, really good.
And it just goes to show the word that comes out of our mouth. Hey, be this 1% better every day. There you go. Don't listen to me and Mark, right? You got Marcus out there executing. My hat's off to him, man. Just a great person. Go support him, get a copy of the book. And since you're surfing Amazon, you might as well pick up a copy of the Firearms Training Notebook, you know?
Roger that. 100%. So everyone, thank you for making us part of your day. If you are enjoying this content, you like this content, and you want to get more of it, you can't get enough of it, go to ontherangepodcast.com, join a group of like-minded people, join the crew. You can also buy some swag. We're always, we're putting new swag on there. Also with the crew, it's an international group of folks who all just trying to be 1% better every day. And it does help your firearms, your life journey a lot better when you have folks who are in the same boat and thought process that you are. It just is. It's good to have support. Don't shy away from it. So make sure you go to ontherangepodcast.com and check out the crew membership.
Plus, we're going to have an added conversation with Marcus, probably get a little more behind the scenes as far as the book goes. So for the rest of you guys, appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, leave us a good rating and review. You guys train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.